Welcome everybody to Somewhere in Vegas here on Spreaker.com. I am Mark the Q. I am your host. Our first episode this week has two very, very talented musicians. Coming up a little bit later, we'll be talking to Scott Page, who has worked with the likes of Pink Floyd and Supertramp. We'll be talking a little bit about how he balances his musical and business projects, as well as how he intermingles with them. My next guest is very, very talented. You may remember her from season 1 of The Voice. She has worked with a who's who of country and pop artists over the past couple years. Very talented, not only in singing, but also in acting as well. And she's a talented songwriter, and she is just really kind of blowing up right now. I am so privileged to have Cherie Oakley on with me. How are you doing, Cherie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I mean, it's been crazy just to see kind of the rise, how everything has happened with you, especially after season 1 of The Voice. I mean, to be able to work with the people that you've worked with, and to be able to have a rising single, as it were, as well. I mean, how's it been for you to kind of work your way up after The Voice? I mean, you were eliminated during the battle rounds, but it seemed like even after that, your star just continued to rise. I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think sometimes it's interesting to get other people's perspective, because sometimes things seem like it, can happen faster on the outside than it does for the person going through it. For me, The Voice was just just a part of my career. I had been doing a lot of session work and tours and things like that before I was on The Voice, and I wrote a song that had just hit number 1 when I was on The Voice, and then so it's just sort of just been a continuation of hard work and opportunities, and incredibly thankful for every single opportunity that's come my way. I've been able to work with a lot of people since The Voice, get a better relationship with people like Reba since The Voice, and it's been incredible, and I'm really thankful to have stayed working in this industry so steadily, honestly, and to have the opportunity to finally be a solo artist has been a dream come true. So,
just going off of that, the idea of mentorship. I mean, like I said, you've worked with so many great artists, even as a background vocalist. I mean, you've probably have gained a lot of knowledge over so many years of being in Nashville, and to be able to have worked with a lot of these people, just in the studio, or as a background singer out on tour. I mean, how's it been for you to kind of learn off a lot of these folks? And is there any important lessons that you've kind of gained from working with a lot of these well-known artists?
Oh my goodness, yes, to all of the above. I think that you can't put a price on experience, and there's so many things that you can't read, in a book, and you can't learn from a class. You have the experience to go out there and learn firsthand from people what to do and what not to do, and you see, the benefits of their good decision making and the the opposite of that. And you learn, and it's been incredible for me to be able to learn from all of the different artists that I've worked with, and not just artists, but producers and engineers, and everyone that goes into making an incredible album, a great single, or an incredible tour happen. There's so many different people. I've learned so many lessons. I feel like I could write a book at this point. But just to kind of pass along, I think, some of the most important lessons that I've learned that I don't know that many people know unless they have sort of the experience that I've had, is just the appreciation of how hard everyone works around you. The humility to realize that it takes an entire team to make or break a career. It isn't just you. And to have a lot of respect for that. I think that some of the greatest artists I've worked with are full of humility. They really pay attention to how they treat people, particularly the people that are on tour with them all the time. They have a great awareness of just knowing that everyone out there, when you're the artist, you kind of get to call the shots. Like if you have family, they get to come out whenever they want. You tour, based on your schedule. But everybody else, they sacrifice a lot. And they don't see their families as much as you do, and they don't have the luxury of inviting them out like you do. And so every incredible artist that I've worked with, that I've learned the most of what to do instead of what not to do, is just full of humility, and always aware of everyone around them, what they sacrifice, what they go through, what they bring through to the table. And I think that's the greatest lesson. And I don't think, you can't learn that from a book, you can't learn that in class. You learn that from sitting and kind of soaking in people and their wisdom and what they've been through, and, what's made some of these incredible artists I've worked with have really long-lasting careers, not just, fly-by-nights.
Having the experience as a younger person, just being able to travel across the country and get that kind of experience under your belt. I mean, has that helped you out in terms of, going out on tour or anything like that?
I remember the first major tour that I did. I mean, I grew up in evangelism with my family, and so we traveled, my entire life. So I was used to, fluctuating income, a schedule that can change, rapidly, and I was used to having to kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I grew up that way. But the first major tour that I did was the Carrie Underwood tour, and I was able to sit back as a background vocalist and see all the things that I needed to do that were my responsibility, and then all of the extra free time I had that Carrie did not. I was able to see firsthand a career explode overnight and see the enormous demands that went along with that. And I was able to ask myself, is this something I really, really want to do? Is this something that I can do? Is this something that, is there any part of this that makes me go, no, this isn't for me? And I was able to see that before the opportunity ever came along for me to do, a solo career myself. And so it's been a seamless sort of transition for me. Something that I've known for years and years, that I am capable. I do want to do it. I welcome the high demand and the responsibility, but to be able to see that firsthand and know, that was an incredible, experience for me to sort of figure things out, and know what I'm getting into. Because a lot of artists don't get that opportunity. They have no idea what they're getting into. They think, great, record deal, and I get to write songs and I get to sing for people, and it's so much more than just that. And they have no idea.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things where, you kind of gain some of your experiences and you kind of use them in a useful way, as almost as a tool in terms of, doing what you do. And, like I said, it's a little bit of an advantage for you to have that opportunity to be able to have that experiences under your belt. When was probably the first time that you ever wrote a song?
Well, I started making up melodies when I was 4 or 5 years old, not realizing that was, the beginnings of writing. And so I've always gravitated towards, being really creative with writing my own original things. But it wasn't until I moved to Nashville, and it wasn't until I think I was probably 20 when I wrote my first song. And that was when I first came to Nashville. And people, I had just heard so many people say, if you want to be in the music industry, you need to write. Do you write? And I thought, well, I've always sort of come up with little ditties, little melodies and little things here and there, and I'd love to try that. That's something that I haven't really dove into seriously. So that's when I started to sort of dabble in it. And even then, it wasn't really seriously. It was just kind of dabbling in it to see if it was something that I was good at, something I enjoyed, something I wanted to pursue. It was really when I had my first opportunity to be a solo artist that I dove into it seriously, which was right around the time that I wrote Turn on the Radio. Turn on the Radio, I think, was like my fourth or fifth song I'd ever really seriously written.
Talk a little bit about, your evolution as a songwriter. I mean, obviously, it's been a few years for you to have kind of gone through the process. And like I said, again, mentorship through a lot of people in terms of, of this as well. I mean, how do you feel you are, as evolved as a songwriter? And are things getting easier for you in terms of knowing the process and what your process is? And is it you usually talk about you usually have a melody in your head. Is it sometimes that you have the melody in your head and then think of the lyrics, or do you think of the lyrics, or is it a combination of both?
That's a good question. It's different for me. I'm a melody writer first, and a lyricist second. But it's different for me. Sometimes it'll be in combination. I'll come up with a melody idea, and I'll have a few lyrics that I'm just really inspired by. They really describe what I'm thinking and I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll walk in and I'll have, a whole chorus written, lyrics and melody. But I'm struggling with the verses. Sometimes I come in and all I have is an idea, and I don't have a melody idea at all. I just have an idea of what I want to say and the feel. So a lot of times I'm able to really describe, because I don't play an instrument, everything is, I have to describe everything. So I'll describe, like, this kind of a rhythm. I want it to feel like this. I want it to sound like this. I want this. I want that. And just be really descriptive with what I'm hearing musically, what I'm hearing with any other inspirations as far as melody, lyrically. But every song is born differently for me. Turn on the Radio was a real collaborative effort. It was all three of us in a room with just a simple idea and a guitar riff is how that one started. So there wasn't a melody or a lyric written yet. It was the title and it was a guitar riff, and that's all that we had. And the three of us got in a room, and all of a sudden sparks flew, and it just was probably the easiest song I've ever written. It took, 2 hours, and we were done. And it was just fun, and it was inspired by, I wanted to do a really fun song live. I wanted something to be fun, and I wanted energy, and so a lot of times I'm inspired by what is this going to sound like for an audience live. First and foremost, I'm a performer before I am anything. So it's very important to me that whatever I'm writing translates live. You can write a really great song that feels great. It's got an awesome groove. It's fantastic on the radio. It's fantastic, in your house with, your iPod or Spotify or whatever cranked up, but live it kind of falls flat. And that's another lesson I've learned from so much touring is the ability to know that a song is going to be able to translate on both platforms. Somebody's going to listen to it on a device, or somebody's going to go see it live. It really needs to translate. So I think of all of those different things with writing. I've grown an enormous amount in the last few years. I've really learned how to dig into myself, to find the topics and things that I'm passionate about. Sometimes it'll take me several months to form a solid idea for a song, because I've got so many different things that I want to say, and I want to zero in on all of them. But I think the biggest thing that has changed for me as a songwriter is understanding the incredible platform that you have to really get something important across. You can really get an amazing message across through a song. And so I approach it with a great sense of responsibility now.
Was Turn on the Radio, was that the fastest song that you've ever written?
In just a couple hours? Probably.
Okay.
It was quick. We did do a couple of rewrites, I think, because I always go back and tweak. I think, you always want to double-check your work and make sure, could we beat this line? Could we beat that line? So there were a couple of tiny little things. I even retweaked it for my own EP, where I rewrote part of the bridge in there. And so, I've just changed a lot since I originally wrote that, originally recorded the demo for it.